and turns strategic.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches 6 modern Vande Bharat trains in the eastern state of Jharkhand. Also lays the foundation for major railway projects worth around $80 million. While Ukraine waits for permission to use US long-range missiles, the Russian forces claim more gains in Donetsk. Britain says it has increased spending on Ukraine defenses to $3.9 billion a year. India sends 55 tons of goodwill aid, including dry rations, clothing, medicines and water to Vietnam, Myanmar and Laos in the wake of Cyclone Yagi. Eastern China gears up for Typhoon Bebinca. Heavy rains expected to bring floods, landslides and mud flow to urban areas. It's been 65 years and counting of dedicated service to the nation. India's public service broadcaster Doordarshan celebrates its foundation day. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the eastern Indian state of Jharkhand. The Prime Minister laid the foundation stone and dedicated to the nation various railway projects worth more than 6.6 billion rupees. That's around $80 million. The Prime Minister was not deterred also by inclement weather. Let's look at this report.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday flagged off 6 Vande Bharat trains in Jharkhand and laid the foundation stone for several railway projects worth $80 million through video conferencing. Prime Minister Modi underscored that the expansion of railway connectivity in the eastern Indian region will strengthen the economy of the region and hugely benefit businesses, professionals and students. Prime Minister Modi said that these 6 new Vande Bharat trains will boost cultural activities.
6 नई वंदे भारत ट्रेनें 650 करोड़ से ज्यादा की रेलवे परियोजनाएं, कनेक्टिविटी और यात्रा सुविधाओं का विस्तार और इस सबके साथ साथ झारखंड के हजारों लोगों को पीएम आवास योजना के तहत अपना पक्का घर। मैं झारखंड की जनता जनार्दन को इन सभी विकास कार्यों के लिए बधाई देता हूं।
In keeping with his commitment to housing for all, Prime Minister Modi virtually distributed sanction letters to 20,000 beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin. Prime Minister Modi also released the first installment of assistance for these beneficiaries. He also participated in the Griha Pravesh celebrations for 46,000 new homeowners. Later, Prime Minister Modi addressed the Bharatiya Janata Party's Parivartan Maharali in Jamshedpur. In his speech, Prime Minister Modi highlighted significant measures taken since 2014 to empower the poor, Dalit, deprived and tribal families across the country.
आकांक्षी जिला योजना के जरिए झारखंड के पिछड़े जिलों के विकास की चिंता पहली बार किस सरकार ने की? भाजपा सरकार ने की। भगवान बिरसा मुंडा की जन्म जयंती पर जनजातीय गौरव दिवस की शुरुआत किस सरकार ने की? भाजपा सरकार ने की। आज भी भाजपा केंद्र में रहकर झारखंड के विकास के लिए पूरे समर्पण भाव से, सेवा भाव से काम कर रही है।
Prime Minister also extended his heartfelt greetings to the people of Jharkhand on the occasion of Karam Puja, a festival dedicated to the worship of nature. Bureau Report, DD, India.
Well, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to his home state, Gujarat. Prime Minister will be addressing and inaugurating the 4th Global Renewable Energy Investment Meet 2024 in Gujarat's Gandhinagar. The two-day event will showcase the renewable energy sector prowess of India, and it also seeks to attract investment into the sector. Multiple companies, including Tata Power, Suzlon Energy, Wari, amongst others, are participating and offering and showing their achievements as well in this sector. Even countries like Germany and the European Union as a whole have set up their pavilions at the exhibition in Gandhinagar to showcase their country's offerings. And during the visit, Prime Minister Modi will also flag off India's first Vande Bharat from Bhuj to Ahmedabad. The Prime Minister will flag off another Vande Bharat trains, some other ones, including the routes of Nagpur to Secunderabad, Kolhapur to Pune, Agra Cant to Banaras, Durg to Vishakhapatnam, Pune to Hubli, and the first 20-coach Vande Bharat train, that's from Varanasi to Delhi. The Prime Minister will lay the foundation stone and inaugurate development works worth more than 8,000 crore rupees. That's around $1 billion in Ahmedabad. And in fact, yes, indeed. Besides this, the Prime Minister will also inaugurate about 30 megawatt solar system and also a 35 megawatt BESS solar PV project at Kutch Lignite Thermal Power Station and a 220 kilowatt substations at Morbi and Rajkot. The Prime Minister will sanction more than 30,000 houses under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin and release the first installments. India's Prime Minister is going to inaugurate the Ahmedabad Metro Rail Project Phase 2 and take a metro ride on Section 1 of the metro station till the Gift City in Gujarat, and during this visit to Gandhinagar in the state of Gujarat on Monday. And this phase will boost, in fact, connectivity between the two cities of Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar. Meghna Dev spoke to the director of the Gujarat Metro Rail Corporation. Here's her conversation.
We are joined in by Sanjeev Mehta, who is the director of Gujarat Metro Rail Corporation, and we are on the trial ride of the metro, which will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 16th of September. Sir, which places is this route going to connect? How many stations are you opening at the moment? Can you give us more details?
So what I would explain is this phase 2 of Gujarat Metro Rail Corporation project is the extension of already running north-south section, where we are running a chain from APMC to Motera. So this phase 2 will connect the Ahmedabad to the Gandhinagar. So for initial phase, we are connecting 8 stations, and then there is one more branch line which goes from JNLU to Gift City.
When we're talking about the connectivity between Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar, which is something that the local people are waiting for as well, how you see that?
Yeah, I can see the joy. I mean, people are eagerly awaiting this project because, and it is also giving a lot of, friendly transportation mean, because if you see, we have escalator lifts everywhere. We have particularly taken care of the passenger amenity services. So whatever I have interacted with people and others, they are very happy about this.
Metro rail route being inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 16th of September, we'll definitely be seeing that it will connect various places with opening up of 8 stations in the Gandhinagar route, and it will slowly be also connecting to Ahmedabad. With camera person Lakshman Rajput, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Gandhinagar.
Now, India is committed towards reducing its carbon footprint, and rooftop solar energy not only provides green energy, it also cuts down the electricity bills of people. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his government is giving a special impetus, a subsidy that encourages people to go for this. And on his 2-day visit to Gujarat, the Indian Prime Minister is going to be interacting with beneficiaries of this scheme. DD India's Vishal Barrister finds out from some of the beneficiaries what's good about this scheme.
I'm here in Wawol in the city of Gandhinagar, and this is Shalin to Society. So what brings the Prime Minister here?
We are very happy, first of all, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi come to our society, Shalin to Wawol, because solar energy productions is very good for our society and our national and international level, and our Prime Minister is very visionary.
First of all, excitement is about the coming of Prime Minister. He is coming for the first time to our society, and we guys are really excited for it. And the reason for him coming is solar panels and solar energy. So we are very excited for him to come here.
Why is solar panels so beneficial for you?
It's beneficial especially for economically support. When we use AC or other electronic item in the summer, it will help. We have a bill like 10,000 or any more. But when we get a solar panel, we have a bill pay 0% in our house.
This is the society, and there you can see the excitement on their faces. And why not? Because they have shown the way how you should use clean and green energy, and at the same time how can you save your electricity bill. With cameraman Piyush in Gandhinagar, this is Vishal Barrister for DD India.
Considerable savings there on their electricity bills. Now, a day after Russia and Ukraine exchanged 206 prisoners of war, Ukraine claimed that there were 83 battles fought on the front lines of Pokrovsk and Kurakhov. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused the West of being too afraid, quote-unquote, to even raise the possibility of shooting down Russian missiles. As tensions rise amid NATO's vacillating stand on the extent of direct support to Ukraine, we take stock of the current state of play in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. More on this report.
It's been 933 days since the war in Ukraine began. Russia's defense ministry on Saturday claimed that Russian forces had taken control of the Zelenoy Pavoy settlement in Donetsk region. Russia said their forces had repelled Ukrainian attacks from multiple settlements in the Kursk region, and that the aviation and missile forces targeted several Ukrainian military units in Sumy Oblast. The Ukrainian side reported 83 battles on the frontline areas. They said the frontline remained complex and tense, especially in Pokrovsk and the Kurakhov. The Ukrainians said that they continue to resist the Russian advance and disrupt their attack plans. Faced with massive Russian attacks, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused the West of being too afraid to even raise the possibility of shooting down Russian missiles and drones that are targeting Ukraine. He was speaking at the Yalta European Strategy Conference in Kyiv. Russia is sending tactical messages that seem to be restraining the US and its allies from allowing Ukraine to use long-range missiles to target Russian territory. The latest signal after Putin's warning on Thursday was Russia's top security official, Sergei Shoigu, visiting Pyongyang on Saturday. US President Joe Biden and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer chose not to end Washington's policy of not allowing Kyiv to use US-supplied weapons to strike deep inside Russia.
The West does also know it's being played by Putin. It's not stupid. And so when Putin talks about a Russian NATO war, then it's taken seriously. But it is also well understood that this is a play and not so much a bluff.
Britain says that it has increased its spending on Ukraine. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy had visited Kyiv with US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, where both allies offered new support to Ukraine.
Of course, we're discussing with allies a range of systems to ensure that we assist Ukraine in getting through the winter and repelling some of the worst action and aggression that we've seen from Putin in recent times.
NATO members like Germany and Lithuania signed a defense cooperation agreement in Berlin on Friday, aimed at stationing up to 4,000 German troops on NATO's eastern flank in the Baltic country by the end of 2027.
We will make sure that German soldiers will get the best possible living and training conditions, tax benefits, healthcare. For families who will come to Lithuania with their kids will be ensured German-Lithuanian education.
While the tensions rise, there was also a time for relief for both Russian and Ukrainian prisoners. The two warring parties conducted a major exchange of 206 prisoners on Saturday. This is their second such swap in 2 days, following negotiations which are mediated by the United Arab Emirates. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour. As the poll campaign heats up in the United States, the political slugfest among the rivals continues. India's Ministry of Textiles organizes a special Handloom Expo in New Delhi.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. While Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continues to feel the heat from his own countrymen asking for a truce deal to release hostages, the conflict in the Middle East continues to assume wider proportions. How Israel chooses to deal with non-state actors with ballistic missile capabilities is one of Netanyahu's and the IDF's biggest concerns. Let's look at this report.
Yemen's Houthis fired a surface-to-surface missile in an open area in central Israel on Sunday. The missile triggered air raid sirens in Tel Aviv and across central Israel, sending residents running for shelter. Taking note of it, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned of immediate retaliation.
The Houthis launched a surface-to-surface missile from Yemen into our territory. They should have known by now that we were exacting a heavy price for every attempt to harm us. Anyone who needs a reminder on this matter is welcome to visit the port of Hodeida. Whoever attacks us will not evade our strike. Hamas is already learning this through our determined action, which will bring about its destruction and the release of all our hostages.
Sunday's strike appears to be the first time the Houthis have penetrated deep into Israeli airspace with a missile. Yemen's Houthis claimed responsibility for a ballistic missile attack and vowed to launch more such strikes against Israel. In July this year, Houthis in Yemen fired a long-range drone at Tel Aviv, killing one man and wounding 4 others. The attack prompted Israel to carry out a major airstrike on Houthi military targets near Yemen's Hodeida port. Meanwhile, Israeli army released video which claimed to be strikes on various Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The strikes predominantly targeted Hezbollah weapon storage facilities as well as on military structure. Hezbollah's deputy leader warned Israel that a full-scale war on Lebanon would cause large losses on both sides. On the other hand, the conflict in the West Asian region have prompted international airlines to suspend flights in the region to avoid affected airspace. Pope Francis appealed for peace in West Asia and the release of hostages.
I pray for the victims and continue to be close to all the families of the hostages. May the conflict in Palestine and Israel end. May the violence cease and may the hatred cease. May the hostages be released and may negotiations continue and may peace solutions be found.
For the second successive Saturday, mass street protests resumed in Israel after the IDF discovered bodies of 6 hostages in a Gaza tunnel. Protesters were calling for more efforts to secure the release of captives held in Gaza. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, the US President Joe Biden and the Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, as vice president, delivered speeches at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Phoenix Awards dinner in Washington. Now, on the other side, Trump received an endorsement from the Las Vegas Police Protection Association. According to a poll, Americans broadly picked Kamala Harris as the winner of last week's debate.
US President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris delivered forceful speeches at the 2024 Phoenix Awards dinner in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. Biden highlighted his relationship with the Congressional Black Caucus and the black voters. He also hit out at Trump over the issue of migration.
My predecessor calls the insurrectionists who stormed the Capitol on January 6th patriots. But when peaceful protesters marched for justice, for George Floyd, Trump wanted to send in the military, but they wouldn't go. He says immigrants, black and brown immigrants, poison the blood of our country. Right now, his running mate is attacking Haitian Americans in Ohio. It's wrong.
Harris, who's a former member of the Congressional Black Caucus, focused on the importance of continued advocacy for civil rights.
And now, the baton is in our hands. I truly believe that America is ready to turn the page on the politics of division and hate. And to do it, our nation is counting on the leadership in this room.
On the other hand, former US President and Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump took a jab at US Vice President Kamala Harris, criticizing her past experiences as a prosecutor.
But anybody that's a member of Defund the Police, especially a founding member, and even if you're in that group for one day, you can't be president of the United States, all right? And she's one of the founders and stars of Defund the Police, and that's why they have no support whatsoever. But you can't do that even for a day. So thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Pope Francis' recent election advice triggered reactions among American voters. The religious leader on Friday had criticized both former US President Donald Trump over his plan to deport millions of immigrants and Vice President Kamala Harris over her stance supporting abortion rights. Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz appealed to supporters in Wisconsin on Saturday, while Republican Vice Presidential nominee and US Senator J.D. Vance was in North Carolina, where he encouraged voters to rally support for the Republican ticket in the year's presidential election. According to a poll produced by ABC by Lanka Research Associates with fieldwork by Ipsos, Americans broadly picked Kamala Harris as the winner of last week's widely watched presidential debate. 58 to 36% say Harris won the debate. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, campaigning has intensified in Sri Lanka as the front-runner candidates have held rallies at various places on the island. The incumbent president, Wickramasinghe, he held multiple rallies in Kandy, Nuwara, Elia and Ratnapura, while the opposition leader and SJB candidate held rallies at Manipe and Batikalau. And the NPP leader, Anura Kumara Disanayake, also held rallies at Talawakele and Navalapittiela. Ahmed Maroon Faruqi reports.
As campaigning in Sri Lanka enters the last week for the presidential elections that are scheduled to be held later this week on Saturday, opposition leader and SJB presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa has reiterated his commitment towards implementing the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of Sri Lanka. Speaking on the importance of achieving reconciliation among Sri Lanka's diverse ethnic and religious communities to a local newspaper, Mr. Premadasa stressed that the amendment, which grants powers to the provincial councils, is part of the country's legal framework. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution has been a long-standing demand of the people of Northern and Eastern Province, which involves devolution of powers to the provincial councils. Meanwhile, speaking at a public rally in Nuwara, incumbent President Ranil Wickramasinghe reiterated his commitment towards developing the island's economy and said that the IMF program will continue. He also spoke about the plans towards development in the upcountry area, which will likely improve living conditions of the plantation workers. For DD India, Ahmed Moin Faruqi from Nuwara.
Well, campaigning is on in full swing as well for the first phase of the assembly elections in India's Jammu and Kashmir. 24 assembly constituencies will go to the polls in this phase on the 18th of this month. Top leaders of major political parties are making all-out efforts to woo the voters. The three-phase elections in the 90-member Jammu and Kashmir Assembly will be held on September 18, September 25, as well as October 1. Now, what's happened is that the results are going to be declared on October 8. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. And several climate activists have been arrested in the Netherlands. The protesters were blocking a major highway in a demonstration against the government, against subsidies on fossil fuels. The climate protest group has vowed to continue their protests until the subsidies on fossil fuels are removed. Air Canada reached a last-minute tentative pact with the pilots' union with a new 4-year collective agreement that's on the table. This tentative agreement will avert a near-term pilot strike. For the past 15 months, in fact, the two sides have been negotiating for a new contract in which the pilot union, they are demanding higher wages. A 2-month-old female pygmy hippopotamus named Mu Deng has become an online sensation after videos of her interactions with her keeper went viral. The baby hippo is drawing large crowds at the Khao Kiao Zoo in Thailand. Vienne River is overflowing in Vienna as Storm Boris has brought heavy rains and strong winds to Central and Eastern Europe. Authorities say that an Austrian fireman died responding to the floods. The rains had flooded streets and submerged the entire neighborhoods in that area, shutting down public transport and electricity in some places. The handloom industry in India is a rich blend of tradition and innovation, playing a pivotal role in India's economic and cultural landscape. A special Handloom Expo is being organized in Delhi. Let's look at this report.
The Development Commissioner, Handlooms, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India and National Design Centre have organised a special Handloom Expo with the theme Sutra Ratnam, the Gem of Threads at Handloom Hearth, Janpat, New Delhi from 15 to 22nd of September. 75 weavers from across the country have displayed their unique exhibits.
It's a very beautiful place for the shopping's point of view, and there are a number of weavers who have their stall for the shoppings and like handloom and all.
This is like good experience, and I have bought few suits here. Wonderful collection. Yeah.
The expo presents a glimpse into the diversity of traditional attires from India. The event aims to promote artistry and craftsmanship of India's weavers and artisans while empowering them.
और ये सब शॉल है, ये साड़ियाँ हैं, काला कॉटन है, फाइन कॉटन है, सिल्क में साड़ियाँ हैं, फिर अजरक की साड़ियाँ हैं, दुपट्टा है, स्टॉल है, सब हाथ से हैंडमेड है, सब हाथ से बनाते हैं सब। भारत सरकार का हमको बहुत हेल्प मिला हुआ है, दुकानें हमको फ्री मिली हुई है, ये नेशनल डिजाइन सेंटर और हैंडलूम डेवलपमेंट कमिश्नर की तरफ से आयोजन किया गया है।
The expo will be open to the public from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. Weavers from 19 states have displayed the wide collections that range from eye-catching attires to impressive home decor. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had said that handloom weaving in the country is not just an industry, but it is a way of connecting to the cultural roots and also social justice. Pay a visit to this extravaganza and I'm sure you'll be amazed to see how the handloom weaving industry in the country has evolved over the years. But remember, this expo is only till 22nd of September. With camera person Ashish, this is Preeti Kaur for DD India.
Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour, we'll discuss the current state of play in the Russia-Ukraine conflict and what to expect next. Junior doctors of the Indian state of West Bengal, they continue their protest against the murder and rape of a trainee doctor in Kolkata. You're watching DD Indian News. I'm Mark Lynn. And now let's introduce you to Professor Swaran Singh from the School of International Studies, JNU, and we are going to be discussing the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Professor Swaran Singh, we played a story out in the first half of our bulletin, and the analyst in our story, he was saying that the West knows that it's being played by Putin. What's the use then, of Ukraine's long-range weapons if they can't be used?
Very clearly, Putin has communicated, Mark, more than once that in case long-range weapons are used to hit Russia, and then he would assume now that this has become a war between NATO and Russia. And as far as Kiev is concerned, both President Putin and former President Medvedev have threatened of use of nuclear weapons, saying that Kiev, the capital city of Ukraine, will turn into a grey dot, as they're saying. So they have repeatedly mentioned of the nuclear threat in case there is an involvement of long-range weapons. Now, between NATO allies, of course, there is an increasing demand now, of course, to respond to the requests one after another from July onwards, very formal requests from Ukraine to allow them to use, allow and supply them to use long-range weapons, because that is the only way to fend off Russian aggression, as they are saying. But there is apparently reluctance at the level of United States. Some of the allies are Romania, Latvia. Britain, of course, is also ahead in saying we should give long-range weapons. But US at this stage seems to be reluctant, and they want to continue to have more discussions about it.
Professor Swaran Singh, is there a diplomatic solution being ground out of this stalemate by slowly building up Ukraine's deterrence capability? Otherwise, this stalemate, seems to be indefinite.
Mark, it looks to me that from most of the European and North American allies of Ukraine who are supporting Ukraine's fight against Russia, the focus primarily has been in strengthening and equipping Ukraine in fighting the war. The focus on peace has been relatively, I think, not as strong and vehement as supporting the war against Russia has been, which is primarily because the war has not been simply a war between Ukraine and Russia. This has been a war between NATO on one side and Russia on the other. And in that sense, Russia also feels compelled, feeling that it treats itself as a superpower. And now it has faced for the first time in its history of 80 years that Ukraine has gone and occupied certain areas of Kursk region, for example. People are fleeing from there. Now, that is not a situation where Russia can easily think of starting any peace talks. So direct conversations, despite Ukraine demanding that there should be now a second peace summit, is not apparently happening. Some countries, of course, including India, are making their efforts to make sure in an incremental fashion, behind the closed doors, in a very imperceptible fashion, if they can really accelerate some kind of peace process, which could result in an outcome of peace talks. But at this stage, I think focus from United States and its allies seems in supporting Ukraine in continuing that same war, but not allowing them to use long-range weapons, because that could get NATO involved into it. Indeed, let me mention, in May of last year, Britain has already supplied long-range missiles called the Storm Shadows to Ukraine.
Yes.
That was supplied with the condition that those long-range missiles could only be used inside Ukrainian borders, given the fact that Russia was, taking a lot of space within eastern Ukraine at that time. But they are not supposed to use them on Russia, inside Russia. And that is the compulsion. And Ukraine, of course, wants to use it. UK also, it seems, Prime Minister is inclined to allow that use. In fact, 5 or 6 ministers have been public in United Kingdom. Foreign Minister David Lammy is on the lead, saying we should allow and we should not allow Russians to bully us into, not responding appropriately. So in that sense, the Prime Minister of UK, Starmer, was in Washington this Friday to discuss this with President Putin. But only UK, despite all the interest, cannot allow that, because the missile that I'm talking of, Storm Shadow, is a collaborative work of France, of Britain and Italy, and there are components of United States in that missile. So There has to be a collective decision, and at this stage, I think they are only postponing that decision to be made.
So, Professor Swaran Singh, we were just showing a little while earlier on our screen as well. We saw the prisoners of war on their release. They really looked happy and relieved. And we see 933 days of war. So, do you see this month's UNGA at least focusing on some end to this conflict as well as the other conflict in West Asia?
There is no doubt this conflict is up on the minds of most world leaders because it has global implications. So when we see leaders one after another speaking and addressing United Nations Security Council, UN General Assembly, we will see that the Ukraine crisis are a significant part of their speeches, and they will have their way of explaining what could be potential and possible solutions to it. But apparently, in large number of speeches at that stage would only be kind of lip service in showing the intent that various nations may have. But fundamentally, the crisis remains between the United States and Russia, and they have to blink first, in that sense, how they wish to move from war to peace. And at this stage, with Biden having just 4 months left in his presidency, and the precarious fashion in which Kamala Harris is becoming more popular now, and Democrats are becoming hopeful, the more in-fights are now being seen in Republican Party. I don't think any decisive course correction will happen in next 4 months from United States side. So that's what we are seeing, dilly-dallying and basically postponing decisions and saying to Ukraine, please continue in the same fashion as you have continued so far, which is not very helpful in that sense. Of course, war would continue, and we will see that some incremental prisoners exchange could happen once in a while, but the bigger issue is not being resolved at this stage.
So, Professor Swaran Singh, have sanctions failed, and has the West basically overestimated the hold that they thought they had over global supply chains and the impact that they could have had with sanctions?
Sanctions, Mark, I for one have always held the view, have not been very effective historically, other than in case of apartheid in South Africa, where there was a global consensus and there was very little way of how South Africa could survive and deal with those sanctions at that stage. Otherwise, whether it is North Korea or our neighboring Myanmar, Russia now more recently, sanctions have not been very effective, partly because they're not consensus driven. The whole world doesn't support sanctions, particularly when sanctions are imposed by individual nations outside United Nations. And there are always ways to skirt through sanctions, and there are always countries that are willing to do business for whatever reasons they may have on their own. So sanctions are largely symbolic in that sense, and sanctions in that sense also often hurt people who are not responsible for decisions for which sanctions are being made. So we talk of smart sanctions, but even smart sanctions ultimately end up pinching and paining people who are not really responsible for decisions. And therefore, I think it's largely symbolic, it's largely show of intent that we are not happy with the way things are happening as far as the target country is concerned upon which sanctions are imposed. But sanctions, I think, have not worked in at least history of last 100 years. That's my assumption, other than exception of South Africa.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Professor Swaran Singh. Thank you for joining us and enlightening us on the current state of play between on the war, the battleground actually between Russia and Ukraine. Now let's look at other stories making the news. In India, junior doctors of the state of West Bengal in India, they continue their protest. They are continuing it outside the State Health Department headquarters, and this is the 6th consecutive day that they are protesting against the murder and rape of a trainee doctor of the R.G. Kar Medical College. In the meantime, the former principal of the R.G. Kar Medical College, Sandeep Ghosh, and the inspector Abhijit Mondal were produced before the Additional Chief Judicial Magistrates Court in connection with the alleged rape and murder of this junior doctor at the institute. In a sudden announcement, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said that he will resign from the post of the Chief Minister in the next 2 days, and he also demanded that the elections should be held in November of 2024 instead of February of 2025 in Delhi. 10 people have been killed and 5 injured after a building collapsed in Zakir colony of Uttar Pradesh's Meerut. India's National Disaster Response Force is undertaking search and rescue operations to ensure that there is no possibility of human life in the debris. On Sunday, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, met the families affected by a wolf attack in Bharech's Sisaiya Churaman village. The district of Bharech is witnessing problems from this man-eating wolf. India's Border Security Force carried out a massive cleanliness drive at Ramnagar railway station. This is in Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur, and this is under the Swachhta Hi Seva 2024 program. More than 500 personnel participated in this drive to keep the station clean. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Eastern Chinese regions are bracing for Typhoon Bebinca, which is likely to hit the country's densely populated coastline. And Narender Chopra narrowly misses victory in the men's javelin at the Diamond League final in Brussels, falling short by just 1 centimetre.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. And with the aim of helping people affected by Typhoon Yagi in countries including Myanmar, Vietnam and Laos, External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, announced the launch of Operation Sadb, or this is on the microblogging site X. He did so on Sunday. And under this mission, 10 tons of aid, including dry rations, clothing and medicines, have been sent to Myanmar aboard the Indian Navy's warship INS Satpura. And the Indian Air Force is also transporting 35 tons of aid, including water purification items, among other supplies, to Vietnam. And 10 tons of aid, including generator sets, water purification items and sleeping bags, have been sent to Laos. The Indian Navy has commenced rapid preparations to deploy humanitarian assistance and disaster relief (HADR) operations in response to the devastating flash floods in Myanmar. The Eastern Naval Command is coordinating with the Eastern Fleet and other supporting units of the concerned authorities. And INHS Kalyani has been successfully deployed, completing overnight loading of HADR pallets, including HADR gears, drinking water and other rations onto the Indian naval warship destined for Visakhapatnam for HADR operations in Yangon. As the world grapples with unprecedented levels of rainfall, several countries are facing severe weather conditions that have led to widespread flooding and significant disruptions. From Myanmar to China, Austria to Poland and beyond, the relentless downpours, they are causing havoc and challenging emergency operations and response systems. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay reports.
Typhoon Yagi, the strongest storm to hit Asia this year, has claimed hundreds of lives in Vietnam, Thailand and Myanmar. In Myanmar, the death toll from flooding has risen to 74. Heavy rains have triggered widespread floods across the country. Local media reports indicate over 65,000 houses have been destroyed and search and rescue operations are underway. Shanghai suspended transportation links, recalled ships and closed tourism attractions on Sunday in preparation for Typhoon Bebinca. While in Romania, cleanup operation is underway after severe flooding in eastern part of the country. Flooding has affected 8 counties. The hard hit includes Galati County, where 4 people were found dead and about 5,000 homes have been damaged.
There are some living containers that are on the way that will be installed for them to be able to stay until their houses are in the condition to go back to them.
In southwest Poland, 1 person drowned and 1,600 residents were evacuated after local rivers reached record high levels, leading to widespread flooding in several municipalities following days of heavy rainfall. Some 17,000 households in the country were left without power and mobile connections were not available in some areas.
The situation is indeed still very dramatic in many areas, as you yourself all reporting on throughout the day. The most dramatic situation is in the Kloska Valley, in Kloska County, that is, of course, Stony Salaski and Ladakh.
Heavy rains caused severe flooding across the northern Czech Republic. Rivers overflowed and some areas have experienced the most destructive floods in decades. Authorities are on high alert with more rain anticipated. Meanwhile, Director of the Fire Rescue Service reported that over 200 fallen trees have been cleared within the past 24 hours. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Well, operating in the beginning from the premises of the then All India Radio, Doordarshan, India's national public service broadcaster, has come a long way in connecting with the masses. Established on the 15th of September in 1959, it completes 65 years of its glorious existence today. DD India's Tanvi Taneja reports.
Doordarshan means the glimpse of all afar in Hindi. It started as a modest telecast experiment on 15th of September in 1959. A leading European company exhibited its closed-circuit TV equipment at an international exposition in India in 1959. At the end of the expo, the equipment was gifted to the people of India. In the beginning, television transmission was limited to half an hour, twice a week, with the program content reflecting the developmental priorities of the nation. The viewership was confined to members of 20 tele-clubs started by the government in Delhi. Bulky and expensive television sets were provided for community viewing. Subsequently, 250 schools in Delhi joined the viewers and programming focused on educational content. This was the genesis of Krishi Darshan, a program dedicated to the farmers. Almost unnoticed at first, news in Hindi made a humble beginning in 1965 with the transmission limited to a very short range in the vicinity of the national capital. By 1972, Doordarshan services were extended to Mumbai and Amritsar and then on to 7 other cities by 1975. Doordarshan and All India Radio were bifurcated on April 1st, 1976. Subsequently, a signature tune was composed by Pandit Ravi Shankar. This ushered in an era of self-confident assertion. The years that followed saw Doordarshan News breaking many barriers. Reporters were sent out to cover national and international events. The coverage of the Asian Games in 1982 was a major turning point, with New Delhi playing the host. Coloured TV was introduced on the eve of the Asian Games. The country even saw the Indian victory of the Cricket World Cup in 1983 on Doordarshan. Indians were spellbound as Doordarshan telecast the first Indian cosmonaut, Rakesh Sharma, orbiting in space. Doordarshan was coming of age. This was the time when some of the programs of Doordarshan became blockbusters. Programs like Hum Log, Bunyad were powerfully evoking a magical spell over audiences. We've all heard from our elders as to how the streets of India used to be deserted when the mythological series Ramayana was telecast in the late 1980s. Many other long-running series were setting the standards of TV broadcasting. Mahabharat, Bharate Khoj, Malgudi Days, Ghalib, Circus were all real blockbusters of the time. Cut to the 21st century. In an age of the breaking news, Doordarshan continues to maintain its tradition of providing accurate and up-to-date content to its viewers. Its own English international channel, DD India, caters to not only domestic but international audiences. It proudly collaborates with other public broadcasters like that of Germany's DW and many other independent news agencies.
UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
Over the years, Doordarshan has carried the aspirations of a billion-plus population and remained conscious of its responsibilities of a public service broadcaster. On 15 September today, we from the entire Doordarshan family invite you to be a part of our celebration. Tanvita Neja for DD India.
Well, one of the most vibrant and cherished festivals of India, Onam, is also being celebrated with great enthusiasm across Kerala and by Malayali communities around the world. This harvest festival honors the legendary king Mahabali. Let's take a closer look at the festivities.
The spirit of Onam is alive in Kerala as people come together to celebrate this ancient harvest festival. The 10-day-long festival, marked by grand feast, traditional dances and vibrant cultural performances, is a celebration of the return of the mythical king Mahabali, who is believed to visit his subjects once a year.
For us, Onam is our national festival, a culture, a part of our lives. Malayalis, irrespective of the background they come from, celebrate all festivals. Onam, Christmas, Eid, we celebrate it together. Onam is a feeling of togetherness. It's actually an emotion. It's actually family get-together time when cousins all come to our family.
Onam holds a tradition of making special decorations in temples and home courtyards with intricate pukkalams, beautiful floral arrangements that symbolize prosperity and welcome. The festival is also known for the grand traditional feast or Onam Sadhya, which is served on banana leaves and includes an array of delicious vegetarian dishes. Onam is more than just a festival. It is a reflection of Kerala's rich cultural heritage and the timeless values of unity and prosperity. Whether through its elaborate sadhya, beautiful pukkalams or exciting boat races, Onam brings people together in celebrations of life's simple joys. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
On the sidelines of the third edition of the Global AI Summit, organized by the Saudi Data and Artificial Intelligence Authority in Riyadh, an interactive exhibition on the history of the development of artificial intelligence was held. The exhibition provided visitors with the opportunity to learn about the history and development of artificial intelligence. Let's quickly run through some of the sports news. The double Olympic medalist, the javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra, revealed that he participated in the Diamond League session in the season finale with a hand injury sustained during a training session. Neeraj narrowly missed the Diamond League title by just 1 centimeter in Brussels on Sunday. Here's a report.
India's double Olympic medalist and javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra narrowly missed winning the Diamond League title by just 1 centimeter at King Vaudois Stadium in Brussels. Neeraj's best attempt of 87.86 meter was just 1 centimeter short of Grenada's Anders Peterson's winning throw of 87.87 meters. Peter, a two-time world champion, set the winning mark with his opening throw. Julian Bieber of Germany secured third place with a throw of 85.97 meters. Later on Sunday, Neeraj Chopra revealed on social media platform X that he had competed in the Diamond League final with a fractured left hand. He shared an X-ray image showing a fracture of the ring finger in his left hand. Throughout the final, Neeraj appeared concerned after many of his throws seemed to be refraining from pushing himself too hard. On Monday, I injured myself in practice and X-ray showed that I had fractured the fourth metacarpal in my left hand. It was another painful challenge for me. But with the help of my team, I was able to participate in Brussels. This was the last competition of the year and I wanted to finish my season on the track. While I couldn't meet my own expectation, I feel this season taught me a lot. This marks the second year in a row that Narender Chopra has finished as runner-up in the prestigious Diamond League final. In 2023, India's Javelin star fell short of defending his Diamond Trophy, losing to Czech Republic's Jakub Veldech. Despite the injury and challenges, Chopra concluded his season on a positive note and expressed his determination to come back stronger next year. Sports Desk, DD India.
Well, the Indian tennis team faltered as Sweden took a 4-0 lead in the World Group 1 match of the Davis Cup in Stockholm on Sunday. On day 2, India conceded the tie after the pair of N. Sriram Balaji and Ramkumar Ramanathan lost 3-6, 4-6 to Philip Bergevi and Andre Goranson. Now, after India's defeat in the singles, Ramkumar pulled out against Elias and was replaced by Siddharth Vikramakarma, and he also eventually lost 2-6, 2-6. So India will now head to the World Group 1 playoffs to be held next year, while Sweden advanced to the qualifiers in 2025. And with this defeat, India has lost all 6 of their ties against Sweden in the history of the Davis Cup. Australia's Oscar Piastri secured a crucial win at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, propelling McLaren to the top of the Constructors' Championship. Piastri overtook Ferrari's Charles Leclerc on lap 20 and held on to the lead until the end. The race concluded under a virtual safety car due to a late collision between Ferrari's Carlos Sainz and Red Bull's Sergio Perez. Now, the win carries huge advantage for McLaren as they have now been handed they've given 20 points a boost over Red Bull with 7 races still left. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. That app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm McLaren. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.